The more I heal, the more I realize how much people suck. It's kind of funny to sit with it, and I suppose it's very stoic of me. I'll say it in a different way. The more I heal, the more I realize how imperfect people are. Previously in life, I carried around a belief with me that everyone else had it all figured out, and it's just not true. It's very interesting the way that I have perceived life. That's one of the most interesting things to explore, actually, on my journey of healing. Because as I heal, my perception of everything, literally everything, transforms. I don't see things the same way that I used to previously. And, it's interesting because I previously held this belief that I had to be perfect, that I had to have it all figured out. Of course, it wasn't true. Of course, it's not true. That's not sustainable because the only thing that I can be is what I am, human, right? And with being human, I'm going to be imperfect. I'm going to make mistakes. And it's just very interesting, too, because looking at things this way now, realizing that people do suck and they are imperfect and they're going to walk themselves straight into the same bullshit that they have over and over again. Right? It's very interesting. I used to wake up every day with the belief that I had to show up perfectly in life for everyone else. Meanwhile, I would look at how people showed up for me and I would get really upset with it. I'd get angry because they'd either be late or they just wouldn't show up at all. And it's just interesting because I consistently held people to standards that they just consistently did not follow through with, right? And when I look at society, I would argue based on what I've experienced that a far majority of society is as I am describing. And it's very interesting too because when when I look at like society in general, I would say that there's probably a very small percentage of people who are like overachievers, who are doing really well for themselves consistently on a daily basis. And not just themselves, but other people, right? And even they are imperfect. They are because nobody's perfect. You can't there's no such thing as perfection. There isn't. You know? There's only human and a person showing up every single day to be the best that they can, right? And that's all that there is. But it's very interesting to realize that nobody's perfect. And I previously held myself to this standard of perfection that's just not achievable. I don't believe in holding the self to a standard of perfection because perfection is not achievable. Perfection is kind of like it's almost equal to trying to hit a moving target, right? It's not even that either. Perfection, I don't like perfection. The more I heal, the more I realize how much I held myself to a standard that just wasn't achievable. Why should we hold ourselves to a standard that's not achievable? It seems like it makes more sense and it's more practical to hold ourselves to a standard that is achievable, right? One of the most important things that I am working on my journey of healing is looking at what it is that I can control, right? Not focusing or trying to really like set goals in regard to things that are out of my control because what's the point of that? Right there was a time when, or I should say, there were multiple times when I tried to put so much energy or focused so much or, you know, I tried to control something that's not in my control, right? I remember when I was getting into investing, right? And I was putting my money in a specific stock, right? That's not something that I can control. That's not. So learning that as long as I can put my time and energy into things that I can control, right? The reason why I'm bringing up this whole matter of control is because what I have noticed is that in my own life, when I tend to suck, is when I am putting my time and energy into things that I can't control. And I think that a lot of people do this also. I think that a lot of people look at things that they can't control and they try to control them, and you can't control things you can't control. So it just ends up getting weird, right? There are things that I can control. I can control myself and how I react, and that's fantastic. So, like, moving forward now, like, realizing that if I just don't try to control things that I can't control, I think that my life will get far better. If I put my focus and energy and time into the things that I can control and really just focus on those things, I think that that will be really good for me, right? And I already see my life getting better. I used to, like I was saying before, I used to put my focus, time, and energy into things that I couldn't control, and my life was all over the place. Now there is so much more direction. So I just want to, again, kind of like explore. I want to explore this whole thing of, people being imperfect and everything, because people are imperfect. And just like coming at it from a standpoint of like zero intimidation. I realize that I don't have to be intimidated because people suck. People suck just as much as I do. People are just as imperfect as I am. The hype is not real. It's just a bubble of bullshit. That's all.